My name is Cera Lopez, and tonight I'll be discussing animal testing. The big controversy over animal testing is typically that people want to ban it because they see it as inhumane. But tonight I'm not standing up here to discuss whether it's inhumane, whether we should stop it. I think it's necessary, especially in medical advances. I'd like to begin with some background evidence on how animal testing has advanced the medical field and brought it to where it is today. Animal testing and research has led to some of the biggest medical discoveries. Animal testing has helped with the development of vaccines for deadly diseases such as smallpox and malaria. It has also assisted us in discovering and better understanding other diseases such as anthrax and rabies, which is really taken us really far in the medical field. Animal testing in the medical field is vital for several reasons. Not only has it proved its importance in the past and brought us to where we are today and brought many discoveries and brought us vaccines, but animal testing is still proving to today that it is necessary due to the fact that although we have come up with alternative methods rather than animal testing, alternative methods can't always bring us the answers that we need in experiments. And animals are the closest genetically living organisms to humans, so that's why we use them. Although alternative methods to animals testing have been developed, such as tissue culture, which is testing on grown tissues or cells separate from the organisms, and more importantly, we use cells that are taken from animals, but we're not harming the animals in the testing. However, alternative methods to testing animals is not always effective for all medical experiments. The national academics of science, engineering, and medicine have explained in certain cases, such as trying to find the cause for treatment or prevention of blindness, cannot be used by using culture tissue because the tissue doesn't show eyes, so how are we supposed to experiment on the tissue and try to find the cure for blindness? This also happens when we're trying to evaluate and regulate high blood pressure levels. Cells also don't have pumping hearts or running veins, and they don't show blood, so we can't regulate whether there's high blood pressure just in cells. Another point is arthritis. A lot of people do develop arthritis with an older age. If you only have a cell, you don't see bones, you don't see joints, you don't see how the decay of, jumping up and down can hurt your bones over time. So we need live subjects. And this brings me to my next point. Because alternative animal testing isn't always sound, we use subjects that are close to humans because we don't really use humans as subjects. And that brings me to the fact that animals are the closest genetic living organisms to humans. A study done by a geneticist, Mary King, and a biochemist, Alan Wilson, at the University of California, Berkeley, once proved that chimpanzees are 99% genetically identical to humans. Other studies have shown that mice are 98% identical to humans, and it's well known that pigs have the same digestive system as humans, which is monogastric. So the same way that medicine affects their stomachs affects our stomachs, such as Pepto-Bismol, Aleve, ibuprofen. If you give a pig that and you see how it affects it, it causes rupture in the lining, then that's how it would affect humans. So that's how we've been able to develop the side effects of medicines. In conclusion, even with the advances the medical field has brought us to find alternative methods, it's shown to us that we can't always only use cultural tissue because it doesn't always work. It doesn't always show us how things are going to come through. Sometimes a live subject is the only way that we can go. So we do use chimpanzees, we do use mice, we do use pigs, dogs, cats. And although it's not completely humane, and you might discuss, but it hurts the animals, it hurts the animals. But the vaccines that we've provided with animal testing, such as the polio vaccine, vaccines for malaria, it saved a lot of lives. So would you rather lose thousands of kids or a few animals? Well, in larger quantities, but we tend to value the lives of humans over animals at the end of the day, because animals do have shorter lifespans. Even the United States Department of Agriculture stated that they still don't believe that our medical field is advanced enough to only be relied on alternative methods. So that's why animal testing is still necessary in the day that we live in.
Well, you kind of define the issue at the beginning. It's not about whether or not it's inhumane. It's not about whether or not we should do it. It's about whether or not it is effective. And I think that that's kind of, that helps clarify what the proposition is, although the phrasing is still should be a little bit more specific. There's no preview of what the supporting structure is going to be. You just kind of dive right into those points, and I think that's a little bit problematic. We understand what the controversy is on the subject, so you're doing okay there. In the body of the speech, you signpost the secondary points pretty well. So I know kind of what the structure is there, although sometimes the points are not always phrased as claims, and I think that's a bit problematic. You try to explain the concepts on each of the points, and I think you've got a reasonable explanation on those points for most of the things that you're talking about. Now, the proof on that, I think, is a little inconsistent. Sometimes you have an example that you'll make reference to, but I don't know why that example is real or how it's proven true. You mentioned, for instance, a whole list of diseases that we have eliminated, eradicated, or substantially reduced, and you're giving credit to animal research on that, and I have no idea why. I don't have any expert that tells us that's where it came from. I don't have a specific example, they did this kind of research on monkeys, dogs, cats, rats, whatever, and that's what found the cure to X, Y, or Z. And so it's a little bit ambiguous there. The same kind of thing with, you did have a couple of pieces of testimony that talked about the similarity of animals to humans when it comes to genetic material. How important is that genetic similarity to being able to make inferences long term, for instance? It's not just that we're looking at, whether or not medicine's going to make us sick, that, we can give medicine to the pig and see if they react negatively in that situation. But if we're doing long-term research on changes in the environment, exposure to industrial diseases, we're trying to figure out what social stresses affect. We need to have animals that are genetically related to us to be able to do these kinds of things. And like you said, that's harder to do. You had a whole bunch of hypotheticals, for example, on why the alternatives don't work, and I appreciated that. Blood pressure and blindness, that makes a lot of sense. You can't test those things, but I didn't hear any information that suggested that we use animals to do those kinds of things. Where's that information? And I'm sure there is some out there, but it's not being cited in the speech. The same thing with the joints and you mentioned arthritis, and I can visualize in my head. I can create my own referent of what kinds of tests they're doing on animals in order to check arthritis kinds of issues. But I'm having to make that stuff up. Where's the medical data that says by using 100,000 chimps or pigs or whatever, here's a medication that we came up with that helps alleviate arthritis or minimizes the pain or restores some kind of calcium or whatever it is that's causing those problems. That's the kind of material that I need to see to make the argument a lot more convincing. All right, thank you.